NAACP 7025 general meeting. I am filling in for Marcia and Leah. Today they are out, and I believe Alonzo is not here, so he's out as well. So they asked me to step in. We don't have a form for our meeting minutes to approve those, so we are just going to go into some announcements, and then we're going to have a presentation on affordable housing in St. Mary's County, and that is going to be done by Chase Powell. But before that, hopefully everyone has signed in, and you have picked up some of the flyers that are available to make it more copies if you did not get one. Please take the flyers so you can know what's going on in the upcoming months and weeks here in St. Mary's County. Things that are hosted for the NAACP and the community here at large. So BJ, are we ready to go into our presentation? Okay, we're going to call up Mr. Chase Powell, and he is the Director of Development at Greenhouse Housing, LLC, and he's going to give us a presentation on affordable housing in St. Mary's County.
Thank you, Kelly. Good introduction. Good evening. So, Chase Powell, I'm Director of Development, Green Street Housing. So we're an affordable housing developer located in Salisbury, Maryland. And Deshaun Dowdy is one of our development managers. Do I need to speak up, project a little bit more?
Or you might need to put it closer, get a little closer to your collar, to the top of it.
Or worse. Should I put?
Yeah, go ahead.
This is Sean, he's a development associate. Sorry, development manager with Green Street Housing. Like I said, we came from Salisbury, so our community this evening looks a little bit like this. And, so very happy to be here. Thank you. Okay, cool. I want to thank Roy and Joan for inviting us this evening. I really appreciate it. This is the kind of thing we really enjoy doing, getting in the communities that we serve, talking about good work that we're very grateful and fortunate to do, right? So I want to have a presentation. I'm going to tell you guys about Green Street and what we do. I'm going to talk about some of the projects that we have going on in St. Mary's County. We're going to talk about some of the things that St. Mary's is doing really well with regard to affordable housing. And then I think from there, we'll just, I'm going to open the floor and make this an interactive thing. So you all can ask questions about what it is we do, what are the impediments, what are the challenges we face, and what does it take to get more affordable housing built in St. Mary's. So that means so Green Street Housing, we've been around for about 18 years now. In total, we have either rehabilitated or built 23 affordable housing communities across Maryland, Delaware, and Virginia. So we have experience using the low-income housing tax credit, which is one of the main financing vehicles for affordable housing. We do a lot of work with USDA Rural Development. We do projects with HUD. We work with housing authorities. You name it, we've done pretty much, almost everything in affordable housing. We have 17 projects currently in development. I think if you were to put a number to the total development costs that we have in active management, it's probably around $800 million that we're actively managing and administering through our projects. So we got our start in St. Mary's County with the Blackswoods Apartments off of Blackswoods Drive. So we completed that project in 2019. That is 78 units that is supported by the USDA Rural Development. We use low-income housing tax credit financing to renovate. I don't know if any of you remember what Blackswoods looked like before we did our renovation. But we, spent, I think, about $145,000 a unit, totally gutted the existing buildings, We added additions between the buildings to create 3 bedrooms to support more families in the community. And that project wrapped up in 2019. So from there, in 2022, we submitted an application to Maryland DHCD for the Villas Electrics, which I'm here to talk about tonight primarily. And we won competitive financing in 2022. Just a quick check clarification. So Maryland DHCD, they're the main entity that oversees dollars and resources for affordable housing in the state, right? So every year they have a competitive financing round, and then you also have a non-competitive funding resource that you can go for on a weekly basis. But Villas Electric was awarded competitive financing. So Villas Electric is a 40-unit townhome community that is to be located right across the street from Lexwood's Apartments. It's going to serve families with, it's going to have 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units. We are going to serve families earning up to 40% of the area median income. Aside from the low income housing tax credits, also has some subordinate financing from Maryland DHCD, a private construction loan as well as private debt as well. It's going to be owned by Green Street as well as TM Associates Development. TM Associates also owns Lexwood Apartments with us, and the Housing Authority of St. Mary's County is also in ownership of and Lexwood Apartments. So it's going to be the same ownership team, same architect, same general contractor. And so the good news is we anticipate closing and starting construction on Villas at Lexwood by the end of this year. So the idea is that end of 2025, early 2026, that's 40 townhomes and affordable housing that will come to serve Lexington Park and St. Mary's County. We are also working on the renovation of Grayville Sport and Joe Baker Village. That's located just up the street on Lexwood Drive. Together, that's 80 units of affordable housing that's currently financed through the USDA Rural Development Section 515 program. So it's happening in tandem with those Lexwoods. We've got a pretty robust renovation plan for both of those communities. So between Grayville Sport, Joe Baker Village, and the Villas and Lexwoods, in total, we're bringing 40 new units of affordable housing and preserving 80 units of affordable housing.
Chase,
Yes.
you're talking so fast, I can't get those numbers. So would you go through those numbers one?
Yep, absolutely. So Villas and Lexwoods, which is the new construction community, that is 40 units.
Okay,
Grayville, Sport, and Joe Baker Village together, that's 80 existing units.
80 units.
Yeah, so we're doing this extensive renovation there to preserve those communities. So, yeah,
So typically, when you look at the numbers, the only new units you're having, because those 80 at Joe Baker Village already exist,
yes,
more than likely will already occupy.
yes,
So therefore, what you're doing is renovating.
we're renovating.
Are you going to be in addition adding more units there or not?
We won't be adding more units there,
So
but what the renovation does is it preserves affordability. Right, so when we bring in a new affordable financing, it comes with what's called LURA, that we agree to keep it affordable for another 40 years. Right, so while the renovation isn't creating new units, it's preserving units. And in the national conversation around affordable housing, preservation, I would argue, is just as important as new creation.
Right.
Because, some of these financing programs, like if the property is in a booming area where there's a lot of economic development, and then all of a sudden it's worth more than when it was built, some owners have the incentive to take these projects out.
Right.
So it's vitally important that we also preserve the existing affordable housing stock, so that we're also not losing affordable housing.
there's actually, but there's 40 units,
Yes,
new units.
40
that are
units.
being added.
Yeah.
Three bedroom.
The 1, 2,
And those are rentals, right?
that is rental.
Oh.
Yes. Yeah. So we exclusively build for for sale. But that's the expertise. We're good at that. So, you had a question? Yeah.
Yeah, well, what's the PCA for project completion? Is that,
So for villas at Lexwoods, we expect to complete by the end of 2025, going into early 2026. Yes, ma'am.
To Linda's point with the 40 new units, the demand is so much larger than that. How is it determined who will not be are? While the others are still waiting for so much more to come along.
So there's a few things that go into that. So first off, you have variance, right, which is the legislation that governs, who can live where and ensuring that there's equal access to all housing opportunities, right? Ultimately, it's a first come, first served kind of thing. So when we are under construction, we start marketing the property, that wait list goes online. We just try to market it as widely as we can. But ultimately, for the general public, it is just trying to be first in line. Right. Now, the other thing with villas and Lexwoods is that we are going to have 8 units that are supported by project-based vouchers from the Housing Authority seniors. Right. But those 8 units are specifically set aside for persons with disabilities. Right. That's going to come from your waivers. Right. But yeah, ultimately you got to get the housing is coming and try to be first in line. The good news is, if you're interested, once we're halfway through construction, we start building the wait list for people who want to, right? Because we are actually incentivized with our tax credit investor to occupy the property as soon as possible. Right.
so you're gonna be disseminating, or you're gonna have a project manager that's disseminating who's eligible and what that eligible criteria is gonna look like? And you're gonna have those available that, the units of the built and available, as built and available, you're gonna start renting them.
Yes,
So the wait list is gonna be whoever applies, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're approved. They have to go through the vetting process and what that approval process is looking like, and they have to meet that 40% AMI in order to be eligible.
yes, yeah. So, yep, and then, so it's the GM Associates Management who is going to manage the property. They manage Brady Port already, they manage Go Baker, they manage
No, but people probably didn't hear what she just said, and she said some good information. No. I was gonna say, can you kind of summarize what she said so people can hear it online?
Yeah. Is there any kind of criteria that come with being able to live in an affordable housing community like the villas, Lexwoods, and the answer is yes. There's income qualification, of course, so this property is set to a maximum of 40% of AMI. AMI is their median income. If anybody was curious, the 4-person AMI for St. Mary's County is $143,900 a year. So that's for a family of 4 at St. Mary's County. That's at market level, right? There's 40% AMI for, let me do it this way. So the rent for a 1 bedroom unit at 40% of AMI is around $990 for a 1 bedroom. So 2 bedroom would be around $1190.
But this is a 40% AMI, so they're getting that incentive as far as affordable housing is concerned. Versus it would be like $2,000 for.
Yeah, it would be more.
You got a lot of people that's in need in this community, shortage of housing that can't afford it. So what I'm reading into this really isn't affordable housing. It is for me, from the media. People that consider shortage of housing. Here.
Yeah, I mean, that's so our,
Because if you're, first come first, I mean, I would think that, to me, I would think that if you really wanted to have those rented, you could coordinate something with St. Mary's County Housing Authority to get some of those names off that list. in there to, not names, but
Yeah, so
down to get some of those individuals in there, but I think I'm reading that this is pretty much, other than those 8 units for handicap. It's,
So I'll, in my perspective, I feel like it definitely is gonna serve a purpose in helping families that are not otherwise able to sustain or stabilize with small income amounts. Let's say it's a fixed income household, 2 fixed income, you know, a veteran household, maybe somebody with social security disability. Those are the types of families that are critically needing this type of housing, where they are at a fixed income and because of the cost of living, they're never gonna be able to maintain anything outside of what that is offering. With the 8 units, the housing authority is gonna stipulate what their requirements are gonna be, and it's gonna be in conjunction with what they're eligible for the 8 disability units, based on my perspective.
yes, so thinking about what you said about people, right? In working on our voucher supported units, we have a process where we go through subsidy layers, right? And we have to do a reasonable rent determination, right? Right now, the 2-bedroom rent in St. Mary's County, somewhere around $2,600. So, second, I'm offering. Right. That's, there's some nuance in what you, right, because absolutely, it's
that's
like,
what I'm looking at.
business serving a band of the community, but not what we call, you don't have to need a lot. However, aside from the project-based vouchers units we have, the housing authority would also have the ability to refer those who are on a housing choice voucher to the property. Now, the distinction here is that a housing choice voucher can do. Housing choice vouchers follow the list, right? A project-based voucher, right? We are happy to accept folks that have a housing choice voucher, right? So they're on the wait list for the housing, and they can be referred to the property. Yes, so, you know, we will work with the housing authority to bring those folks in.
So I had a meeting with the housing authority this week. They shared with me that they have about 4 to 6 months remaining. They closed the wait list back in 2022, November. They said they have about 6 more months, before they can, initiate reopening a wait list, but they're not intending on going to the direction of a wait list. They're gonna do a lot. So like Charles County does, they hope, you know, a lottery that is available for folks that are interested in applying. Once they have the number of applicants they are interested in receiving, they close that list. Then the folks that apply, and those are the folks that are eligible. I do want to say, I agree with what you're saying in regards to how is this benefiting the folks that are most vulnerable in building affordable housing if we're not adhering to some format of assessing for that population of most vulnerable.
Introduce yourself so people know who you are.
I'm sorry, I talk a lot. I'm not looking at the executive director.
I'm sorry,
Yes, sir.
what was a 3-bedroom go for?
So a 3-bedroom, and also, let me say that this is a maximum. Right. So the maximum would be around $1,380 a month for a
Thank
3-bedroom.
And there's no 4-bedroom?
No. we're going
Okay.
one,
And I'm sorry, I got here a bit late. How many units would there be total besides the
40 town units.
40 10? Cool. I think I'm caught up for now. Thank you.
So the site is also going to have a community center with a playground / next to it, outdoor recreation space. It's going to be 7 buildings in total. So any other questions about those Black Rose or anything else on this project?
I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
Is that something that could be a consideration, you know, just like the housing authority sets the wait list, you know, folks, but it's not necessarily identifying the most vulnerable, they just have a wait list and you either get a call back, and if you're still maintaining your place on the wait list, you know, you possibly get awarded about you don't get awarded about you. Okay, I know. But is it possible to work with folks to identify, you know, we work with the homeless in the county, Is it possible for people to identify, like we do with Cutlash, the VA, to work and survey the most vulnerable population, those elderly, those that are on fixed income? Making sure they're maintaining their amount that they owe, they're not gonna fall behind and whatnot, but is there a way for us to possibly put that into the mix, so we do serve the folks that are in need and in that cost of, remaining homeless if they don't have that option?
So are you posing this question generally about housing, or are you asking specifically about the those?
About affordable housing in general, is that an option? Both, actually,
Okay.
maybe
Yeah,
I'll-
so I'll answer that. So generally speaking, within the affordable housing space, you have a subset called ES, which is permanent support. Permanent supportive housing generally caters to persons who are experiencing homelessness or with chronic disabilities or veterans, folks that have like HIV/AIDS. It's a very defined set of population.
like,
Permanent supportive housing generally also has its own bucket of resources that are available. And that bucket of resources is what provides either the loan dollars or the rental supplement to ensure that person can occupy. Right. This project, while we have the units that are set aside for persons with disabilities, Village of Lexington doesn't necessarily have a permanent support housing component. That being said, to the extent that there are like, or you can offer where, let's say you go to Preston, that can only afford, $500 a month, but the rent is $900 a month. To the extent that an organization can partner with that resident and cover the $400 difference, like we are more than happy to talk about that.
well, we receive funding, we do it with our veterans program with child subsidy for 24 months, enabling them the opportunity to save.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, I think there's definitely opportunity for possibility.
Because I-
In food security parlance, there are three different issues: availability, affordability, and accessibility. We have all three issues here for housing. The availability is terrible. We're just talking about 40 new units, hardly scratching the surface of the numbers of people who really need housing. So
well,
that's availability. You at least are coming in and you're building something. Okay. Then we have affordability, which is part of this discussion, which is what you are building, how much does that cost? And that for educators and people who are earning a salary that is supposed to enable them to just be out on the market, but they can't afford it in this county, in this market right now. And then the accessibility often has to do with the individuals as families who, maybe there are language barriers, maybe there are physical barriers who have to be able to, how are they going to get to what is now available and affordable that is accessible for them? And so if I understand correctly, you're proposing, or you're in the process of making a marginal increase in availability, which is still hard for those 40 families. That's not,
Is that enough?
they'll be happy, but it doesn't address the larger county issue, which is that there's a huge issue in this county of availability, and there needs to be some purposeful attention to going well beyond 40. And then the other issue of affordability, question of whether there are sufficient financial resources for those who can't even meet that subsidized rate, and for them to get access to that as well. I guess part of my question would be, when you've talked about partnerships with the people who already own the property, then you all come in, you're developing or renovating the property, then the housing authority. Could you walk us through a little bit the roles of government entities, nonprofit entities, private entities? Because part of the issue in this county seems to be that no one group can handle it, but that absent some of those groups, particularly government intervention, there may not be sufficient impetus or incentive for a group like yours.
So it's a great question. I'm going to reiterate it for the purposes of supporting its integrity. The question is, what are the different layers of overlap in the organization when it comes to affordable housing, right? With regard to the availability piece, we're setting up for a great second. We're trying to build an additional 110 units in. So we are, right now, we're partnered with the housing authority. We are examining some other sites in the county, which would lead to a combined 110 units. That's all I can say at this time, but it is a challenge and a problem that we're trying to solve, right? Yes, ma'am.
The 110, what type of unit?
They would,
Townhouses, apartment, or
so, like that, we're not even that.
Okay,
This is purely a site.
Okay.
That's what the- it's like, yeah, it's, that it would most likely be.
This is going to be affordable, it's going to be, I mean, the goal for would be affordable housing for those that are probably in that wait list.
Yeah, it's-
They get the cutoff,
yeah. So,
not taking any applicants.
so green housing, we exclusively build. A couple of our properties might have some market rate units that's just like a scoring incentive on a competitive application, but 99.99% of units. So in the sites that we are looking at with the housing authority, would likely involve some level of that subsidy that we discussed, whether it's project based or other things. But again, we're in a very early process with the housing authority, so that's all I can really say at this time. But we are trying to build more units in the county to serve the availability problem. Right.
In the state of Maryland, there's almost 4,000 affordable housing units, so it's not just us. Which doesn't make us feel good, but it's not just here, it's happening nationally and it's impacting folks. So thank you for working with us to try to do more in our community because we need it.
Absolutely.
And definitely figure out the one.
Yes. Yes, sir. Back to your question.
So, since there's a wait list, is there any opportunity for people who like coming right out of college, moving down here, so they're just starting off, the opportunities for them to get on the wait list because of
On
that
the wait list with the housing authority or the wait list at the property?
housing authority or yeah, with the property? Is
So
there-
with the property, I mean, it's ultimately first come, first served. Right. So it's the availability, we start marketing the property, we just try to get you on the wait list as soon as we can, so that you're first in line. So that when management is going through the compliance process to ensure that you qualify for, so let me rewind, right? So to your question about the different layers, right? One of those layers is what is called LIHTC, which is the low income housing tax credit program. That's the primary financing vehicle that we use to build. What that comes with is layers of compliance, regulation, and oversight, right? But it's also, I would say, the most effective tool to build affordable housing in the country since its introduction in, I believe, 1980, right? What the low-income housing tax credit program does is that there is a dollar for dollar exchange with a tax credit from the government to an investor. That investor buys the funds to help get the housing built in exchange for a tax credit over a 10-year period. Right. So to your question about public-private partnerships, that sort of thing. So that's where you bring in the private sector. Right. The investors are generally banks, financing institutions, that's right. And there's legislation that provides investment from banks and these other entities called community reinvestment. Right. And what that does is it I don't believe it forces, but I think it probably strongly encourages these financial institutions to invest in their bank. So you've got, well, you've also got, for example, Villas and Lexwoods, they're using a private permanent loan. That's one of the resources in the financing capital, right? But we're also taking subordinate loans from Maryland DHCD, right? So now we've got the state. Right. So right now, we've got the resource, we've got state resource, we've got private resource, right? At the federal level and the state level, you have different regulations, you have different burden, right? So what you can think of, you've got 50 states, right? And they all have a Department of Housing and Community Development or some kind of agency that oversees the tax credits, right? They all have their own guidelines for what they incentivize for building systems, right? So some element of my job is that we have to work within what the state does, right? Villas of excellence, for example, the element of geographic area that Maryland was incentivizing that year, right? We have earned points in our competitive if you build it that specific place. So one of the things to think about is that there are boxes that we operate that are all over the country, right? And we have to be playing within those boxes and navigate into boxes to get there. Because theoretically, if you think about it, we're building an apartment for in cost, if not more, than a market rate. Right? We actually build to a higher standard than most market rates. Right? All of our projects for those are some degree of green certification. Villas of Lexington will be National Green Building Standard certified and zero energy range home certified. Right? The carbon, offset of this project is going to be nominal in comparison to a comparable. Right? So we're building to a higher standard. Our operational cost is the same. But we are charging the bus rent to do the same thing as market rate. But that's where the power of the tax credit program comes in. That's where the power of, of the project-based vouchers, right? These are the mechanisms that make it affordable housing possible in the first place. And then when you get to the local level, and this is a good segue to talk about St. Mary's County. So St. Mary's County in itself has provisions for the construction of affordable housing. Right, you have density bonuses, or you have setbacks, you have permutations to get more units because the county realizes that it's a problem, and more or less the right department needs to be rolled out to try to address this problem. Right. St. Mary's County has also been good about payments in lieu of taxes. So a lot of those departments, we got a payment in lieu of taxes. This offsets the tax bill for an affordable housing property, and it allows us to raise more loan proceeds to make the project possible. Right. It's going to do a lot of things well. Right. And I think another element is we've got certain citizens in the room right now that see that this is a problem and it needs to be addressed. And like you're in a position to see that you came to this meeting and talk. Right. And that in and of itself is a good. Right. Because we work in this town. Because of age of students, misconceptions about right. So kudos to all of you for being here and carrying on this work. I think fundamentally it's a bedrock issue and a huge problem of our time. We need to work on it, right? Because Sean can do it well, So yes, sir.
Is this program only associated to like rental properties, or when you guys, creating, affordable, low income, single family townhomes where schools come in and try to, purchase their own properties and establish their own will?
So we only build the Lexington store. Right. There are other developers that build for sale affordable housing. It's not what our expertise. At a legislative level and at a programmatic level, it's something that we need to pay more attention to. The economics of making affordable homeownership work for everything. But it's, if you want to have an opportunity to build long-term energy, you have to have that first step. Being able to. That being said, the rental housing that we build because of the stability of the rent. Right? So here's the other thing, our rents are dictated by the state. Right? So they can only go up a nominal amount every year. So what the house that we build is the for rental stability. Right? You think about what happened during the COVID-19 pandemic, where some of these cities saw 25% increases. Right, for market rent. Right. That doesn't exist in the low income tax program. It's against the rate. So while it's not an opportunity to own your own home, it's an opportunity to have stable rent to start building to eventually. Yes, sir.
Two questions. One is, given your knowledge of St. Mary's County, do we have enough, property that has been identified to address our, that would qualify for affordable housing and meet the affordable housing needs? Do we have enough property? That's the first question. Second question is, especially since we're getting ready to update the comprehensive plan and hopefully the comprehensive zoning ordinance as well, what could we do to better enable more reasonably cost affordable housing projects?
So, Troy's first question was, is there enough land? And the second question was, as a county, what can we do basically spur performance, right? So to the first point, I would think so, right? You know, St. Mary's County is a place that is built wide and not tall, right? It's not urban land values are not extreme in comparison to some suburban and urban environments, right? I would think it's possible. I have done a very forensic deep dive on the totality of land, right, to build a workplace. But to your second point, building workplace, from a municipal perspective and like an update to the comprehensive plan, one of the ways that you can tackle that challenge is to increase the density of housing that can be built. Right. That's one lever that is that this site is zoned for 40 units, 60 units, 80 units. What does it look like to get to 100? What does it look like to get to 120? Right. Another mechanism is looking at your parking ratio. Right. One of the biggest hurdles with building housing is creating enough service spots. And I don't know the parking ratio off the top of my head, but it's something that can really hamper the ability to produce units. The other consideration is the availability of sites near public transit, right? How close are you to the bus, right? You know, serving residents that live in may not have a car. They have to be plugged into a system where they can have a place to live, have access to transit, go to the grocery store, go to their job, right? Because that builds the foundation with which eventually they can save when we get that car, right? Yeah, I think, you know, another thing, the county already does this to some extent, is transferable development rights as well. So if you were to have a site that doesn't have density, the developer can more or less pay work as a preservation program to bring density from one place to another in exchange for preservation or a fee, right? That's another mechanism that is often used. Yeah, and then it's even things like setbacks, right? It's how close can a building be, not necessarily to a road, but how deep can it go? Building height, right? When you start playing with the physical structure, that's how you can get more things, right? So, and this is not, I don't know the code all the time. Let me get back to that. Right? Let's say you're in a municipality that's a zoning code that supports building up to 50 feet tall, right? Let's say that gives you 5 stories and you can build a 50 unit building, right? If we're at 65 and you can get that 6th story, you're getting 60 units, right? You're on the same site. You know, you're getting more height, but you're getting more units out of this. If you layer in setbacks and height restrictions and parking and density, you can work with the land you have, even if it's at scarcity, to create more units with the available. Yes.
Two follow-up questions. One is, what's the tipping point for density getting into urban blight issues? And the second question is, we have an oversupply of office space, right? What's the chances of converting office space into 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom units?
If If we were in Washington DC, I would say absolutely no. Because when you take an urban building that has been designed to be an office and has one bathroom per floor and a bunch of windows on the front and no windows on the side and no ventilation, you can't actually live in that space, right? It is like phenomenal feat of engineering and cost and time and energy. Like the conversions that are happening take a ton of resources now. Because you basically got to create a donut and a light chamber and an air chamber, and you have to bring in increased electrical load and water and sewer and do all the things. That's if we were in DC, right? I wouldn't say it's impossible here, where I assume you have more of an office park kind of like, right? Where it could be possible, right? It would be a good utilization of land that already exists, a structure that already exists. It's going to face some of the same challenges that I just outlined, but it's not going to come with the same. So, I mean, that is another creative solution, is to look at repurposing land that already exists to produce more housing.
You shared earlier, it costs $145,000 per unit when Lex was being built. What would a potential cost be if the office building, because it already has the structure, the parking, all that, what would an office building structure look like in regards to renovation to accommodate, like, as far as 145 units?
Sure. So, and just to clarify, that 140,000 per unit was renovated questions, right? So, when you think about, we have structure, we have foundations, we have existing mechanical, electrical, plumbing. So, you know, it's not the same cost as building new, like, so with regard to what how it costs, like off the top of my head, I don't know if I have a great answer. I think while it might be cheaper than new construction, I don't think it's going to be by much, because by the time you tear that building up, you're basically building it. The opportunity is, let's say if it's an office park that, you know, like could be sold at a discount, right? Because one of the other levers you can play with in affordable housing development is the cost of the land, right? It's one of the big inputs, the cost of the land, the cost of the construction, you know, the equity that is raised, the debt you can raise. Those are kind of the big inputs that shape the viability of the project. So I wouldn't say that an office conversion is out of the question. I just, without me doing a thorough dive into what the actual specifications entail, I can't say off the top of my head that it would cost X, but it's a very good question. Isn't it?
So just to clarify, when Troy was asking about the land, we're talking about private land, which the cost of building affordable units starts with purchasing the land itself. That there's not, it's not that, I mean, fortunately, there have been some public projects where the county had land.
Yeah.
And the county made the land available, and then the cost is to build on that. But you're talking about starting, just being in the market, looking at a piece of land that either is, you know, an old car agency and there's a big parking lot and there's nothing there, or it's trees, but one way or another, you have to go in and purchase the land before you ever get around to prepping the infrastructure and building. Okay, so that clarifies that. I have one other question, which has to do again with the accessibility. At some moment, when you've broken ground and you're building the new unit, it will be possible for people to sign up for it. What kind of information dissemination is used to ensure that all people are aware of that before it's suddenly closed off? And I'm particularly concerned in this community about people who are living in a trailer park right now, who mostly are Spanish speaking. To what extent are they going to know before it's filled up that there was an opportunity?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. So there's a few things that govern how we do outreach in the community, right? So one of those is a HUD document. It's called an AFHMP, it's the Affordable Fair Housing Market Plan. We produce that plan in conjunction with our property manager or our leasing agent to ensure that we're equitably providing access to the property, right? We, in that plan, they are identifying local periodicals, websites, housing authorities, you know, agencies like yours where they can go and say, hey, here's a flyer, guess what, we've got housing, please tell everybody. Right. So that is part of our process, and that's every, like that's any project finance. And in the state now, just to what I can speak. So that's one way to do it. The other thing is that this is just something that we do as owners and developers is that we try to identify dangerous employers, right, in an area, right? We identify school systems, we go to police stations, we go to, the county government, we go to all of the places we can where we can say, hey, we're bringing this online, right? To your question specifically, though, I mean, about like a trailer park where there's a language barrier, the AFHMT actually includes provisions for targeting and minority populations. So we've actually got a project in Salisbury where there's a prominent Asian population, right? So we actually had to redo some of our documents so that it can cater to folks like with from different backgrounds or speaking different languages. So that is a mechanism that is part. Yes, sir.
You spoke of the cost of building a unit like that, Mr. Sue. Is there anything on the horizon that suggests you could find a saving in the cost of delivering a finished unit?
So within the industry right now, there's a lot of talk about modular construction. That's one of the kind of buzzwords in the industry right now. And the idea behind modular construction is just like a modular home. The home is essential in it's put on a truck, it's brought to a site, it's laid on the foundation to value, right? Within the apartment space, the idea is you would build a module that is like a 1-bedroom module, or 2-bedroom module, 3-bedroom module. That would also go on a truck and frame lower that close. The cost to build is basically the same, but the savings are time, right? Because if the modules are already built, or they're built in a controlled environment, and they can be loaded on the truck. Because one of the things that costs me money is that I have to go get a construction loan to build the project, right? I have to pay interest on that, right? So the more months of construction, I have, the more interest. That's actually one of the biggest line items that we usually have, right? If I go from 18 months to 12 months, I'm spending a third less than my interest for what might be the same cost. Now, I have not done a lot of research on modular projects. I do think it has potential. One of our general contractors did explore it. We have not tried it yet. But I think there are environments where it could be meaningful in not only speeding up housing production, but also saving costs for developers. Yes, ma'am.
And it may have changed with the building of the new bridge. But at one time, they kind of stopped with the modular as far as the homes because they could no longer get them across the bridge, get into this area. Now that depends on where they come from because some were coming out of the Carolinas and not Virginia. I don't know if it has changed because that's the story. It's been a couple of years, but that was the story at one time. They did the bridge with the fans. They couldn't get across.
Yeah.
Was it a weight issue or a size?
It was more of a size issue.
In regards to the different building, is there a difference in the quality regarding a modular versus traditional?
I don't know if I can speak to it just because, like reading industry news and that sort of thing. I mean, generally speaking, building in a controlled conditioned environment is usually going to be better than building, I would say.
And actually, with both, if that's the option, and obviously it saves you time and money, would that then need to be a lot rent component if it's a modular structure? We would have to identify where it's going to be placed, or how is that going to be? Is it purchasable? Is it purchasable?
In what I've seen through the lens of affordable rental, what you could think of is that module is it's getting on a truck, then a crane is picking it up, like basically like Legos stacked.
One of our buildings is pretty modular structure right now. We got it installed in 2016, the Veterans Resource Center. And previous to the pandemic, but yeah, so, but what about the land, where does it?
I mean, if you're doing that model, right, if you're doing a model where you're putting modular homes on land, I mean, wherever there's land available, right?
So you would purchase the land, we would place those structures there,
Yes.
so what would it mean, like the trailer park in Cherry Creek, for example? They rent the lot and they brought their trailers themselves, if they were to leave now after 15 years, it's possibly not an option, it's possibly not functional enough to leave.
Yes. Yeah.
So they would be, it would come with the land and the.
I mean, like in this, like,
Yeah, I agree.
yeah, I mean, and that, again, that's one of the challenges of, you know, the mobile home model, right? Is that you've got the lot around, you do it on the phone, but more often than not, the home like depreciates and loses value and you have upkeep and that sort of thing. And also they're mobile,
Right.
right? I mean, it's mobile in the sense that at one point it was picked up and it was moved and it was put into place, but it's very hard to move it again, right? So, yes, ma'am.
That's the difference between the actual true double wide trailer.
Yeah.
You don't get a deed, you get a vehicle. If you get the stick built in the manufacturer, then you actually get it, and if you get the mobile and put it on a permanent foundation, then you get a little bit more leeway when it comes to loans. But some underwriters would not give loans for the actual double wide trailer. But I think, but when you were talking about modular, you were talking also if it was like an apartment building, or if it was like a townhouse, you were saying if we built a modular, then you could just come in and stack the pieces on top.
Yeah. You know, I think it still does kind of experiment. I think it's a welcome addition to the palette of options that we have as developers. Right. That's right.
We had a home that was built in the 70s, and it was tilt up.
Yeah.
We brought the walls in on a trailer, set it up on a slab, step it up. It's the first home we've ever had that really had square corners.
That's what you say in the real estate world. Just the ones built in the, then you're gonna have square corners where there's someone out there doing the best job. Yeah, you're not gonna get exact square corners.
So my question is, tilt up versus modular, is that more acceptable in the current codes?
No, tilt up more on to speak to. I mean, I think it also depends on the municipality, fundamentally, right, and what the municipality wants to see from a zoning perspective. I know some municipalities can be pretty agnostic to the structure that ends up being, right? So I think that's just kind of the case by case. Yes, ma'am.
You notice that there are people in this room who are concerned about this issue. And I promise you, there are many more who are either watching right now or on vacation in the middle of the summer. and concerned. What, if anything, can we do as citizens who are concerned about, we're not necessarily the people who need that affordable housing, but we are people who care about the community. 2 nights ago, about this same time of day, the commissioners had their regular forum. We as citizens go and advocate for this, that, and that. We're not in good trouble. We have one person here who knows we can be good trouble with the planning commission. What kinds of things can a local community do that assist you as somebody who can actually make things happen? Either to be welcome here or to get the resources that are needed. Because yes, it's an issue around the country, but my concern is my community.
Right, exactly.
So, right. So what can we do to make sure that it's our community that gets those resources? So Three Oaks doesn't have as many people who are worried where they're gonna lay their head, and that we don't have educators who can't afford a place. What's our role in that multi-actor?
Yeah.
People in the woods.
People in the woods.
Totally.
Yeah, it's like literally.
Yeah, so to your question, I'm gonna shout Joe and Troy.
Yep.
Because ultimately, Joe and Troy were at our first planning commission meeting. And they got up to the mic and they said, this is an important project, this needs to happen, it's great for all these reasons, right? Now, like a year and a half later, I'm speaking to you guys, right? Good citizens like these two decided to get affordable housing.
And how you do that is you read the newspaper and you look back in the, and you look for hearings. And when you see a hearing and it says housing, you show up. And we are not tonight at a hearing to get a very large apartment building that is much needed. And Scott said he was sorry I wasn't going to. Were their appeals tonight?
So engaging with your public representatives, right, letting them know this is a problem in your community, right, letting them know that, you know, resources have to be created, or tools need to be created, or is it tweaks to the zoning, is it the creation of a housing trust fund, is it providing payments in lieu of taxes, right, is it providing a fee waiver, right? What we do is insanely complicated, right? We could spend another 10 hours in this room talking about all the crazy nuance and ins and outs and that sort of thing, right? But if you can walk away from anything with this meeting, is to know that like, we need every ounce of help we can get, right? Because the projects are getting actually harder to build. It's more expensive than it was 5 years ago. The economic climate is insane. Interest rates have gone up, right? So we need to work with our municipalities. The same as County is doing an excellent job in finding ways to get these deals over the finish. Because even marginal things, right? That starts with all of you and your voices and making it known that this is a problem in the community and that you're trying to fix it, and getting the ear of our public representatives that they know that they need to put attention to this. Right. And I think it's part of the equation that we're doing here right now. It's like what Joan said, it's showing up to the meeting, right? Like, I wish I had Joan and Troy in every community that I work in, right? Yeah, it's all very simple. You know, so, but it really helps, right? And also, obviously, like, we want to partner with not only the municipalities, but the people that we're serving.
Thank you, Joe.
I see it.
But it's yeah, it's that activity that's getting organized. It's, you know, for lack of a better term.
You said you wanted to.
So what I'm trying to understand what you're saying. So
Yeah.
when is a projected date? We're gonna be able to go, and what's the first thing you do? We're gonna go dig in the dirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never think of those
Yeah.
What's the projected date for ground digging? Because I think there are a lot of people in this room today who would be excited to celebrate that.
We'll have to get the sign so that we can let you on. But end of this year is the goal to close our financing and start construction. So, I mean, the groundbreaking might happen a little bit later just because we want to break. I don't know if you all have asked for the electrical system, you know, we need a lot to bring that site up to grade. So it might take a few months to build up some dirt so we can dig a little bit. But we'll be sure to market it. So, yes, sir.
Following up on Marcia's question earlier, if we can get the county to set aside land for affordable housing, how much does that decrease your cost and how much does it speed up the time?
So that is an excellent question. So I will draw a comparison to a municipality in Northern Virginia. Right. In that municipality, I pay anywhere between $30,000 to $36,000 per unit of land. Right. So if I was to build as a Bucks there, 36,000 units. That's $1.44 million to get it. That is an equity basis to this, that's the value of a fee waiver, that's the value of the pilot. So like, that is another tool that can be leveraged, is that land that is owned by a government. That can either be a land lease for $1, or it can be donated or conveyed, or even below market rate. That makes a huge difference, right? The other angle is that some of the financing programs we use actually encourage that sort of thing. So the federal home loan bank, which has has their AHP, which is their affordable housing program. Every bank has an affordable housing program. We're actually submitting 3 applications next week, right? One of their scoring categories is land conveyed or donated by the government, and you get 5 points for that resource. So not only are you getting the land discount, then you're also more competitive with the scarce.
What timeline?
With, the timeline, unfortunately, will be similar just because of site plan and approval and that sort of thing. So, but there's a savings in the timeline that I don't have to go find those other resources, right? So if that land is available or donated or conveyed, then I may not have to go get one of these competitive loans that, guess what, every other affordable housing developer is also applying, right? So there could be a savings in time.
Yeah, I'm just going to piggyback and say, so you mentioned a good point about how to make sure this happens and how to engage with your public servants. It's to continue to do so. Again, the work doesn't stop just at the meeting, but if that does happen, so if you do come to a point where the county or the municipality can lease the land or give the land to the developer, when that decision does get made, or if there's a pilot program or if there's some sort of text amendment to mobilize and go there, because if that public servant hears 1 or 2 or 3 voices in the room give a public comment that may negate that fact, those public servants will be swayed and they will most likely vote nay, and that will halt, stop, or push back the development from happening. So again, it's a lot of work on you all here for your community, but it's to be aware of those things, because in our community, we have a group of people who show up at every one of my council meetings, and they're there fighting against affordable housing. They're there a lot with me. So it's very unfortunate. Again, it's a lot of work on you all's back, but it's for the betterment of your community. So I have the benefit of serving. Again, I work for Green Street, but I'm also council president in Salisbury, so I see both ends of the spectrum. And it's remarkable to see that a lot of few voices are loud. This is good because I don't see this often in our community. So, but again, that work is on you all to continue that, to bring those ideas to your public servant, but to be persistent as well.
One more quick question on that. If there was a landholder that wanted to donate, what's the benefits that the landowner could accrue? Are there tax credits?
Yeah, I know that can vary by municipality. What I'm not familiar with is what happens in just like the kind of, IRS section 40 of the code kind of thing where you voluntarily choose to privately donate. I don't totally know what that looks like. I would want to do more research on that before I speak to it. I would imagine there's a mechanism for it. I mean, a model I think that also make a lot of sense for is that do like a conservation easement, right? Landowner can decide that this land needs to be preserved in perpetuity to preserve green space, right? Maybe there's a model where something exists for affordable housing, right? Where there's a benefit relayed to the owner for deciding that this apartment community in perpetuity will be set aside for affordable housing, and that's a covenant that can take from the land. I don't know if this program exists. I'm just kind of spitballing here, but that is another angle, and it could be lots of things to explore.
2 more questions, and I'm going to like what we're talking about, but
Okay.
let's with the 70 whatever units that were built, what that land donated to the
The land, so the Buckswoods apartments already exist, right? So we joint ventured with the existing owner to facilitate the rehab. Right, so that one we more or less kind of bought into, and in the purchase, we syndicated the tax credits and the other sources to complete the renovation, right? Villas del Buckswoods, it is kind of a similar structure where it's being purchased privately from an individual, right? Rainbow Sport and Joe Baker Village, same model, we're partnering with the existing owner, for lack of a better term.
So this would be the first project like you're approaching with the school in the town. Building from.
Yeah, the first one in Sanders,
Yeah.
yes, we've done the construction
And then my second question is in regards to the 23 projects that you guys have worked on in the last 18 years, were those any projects, is it just home, in the individual homes, or is it like apartment buildings, complexes, or?
We build pretty much exclusively, affordable rental apartments, right? So, we built across all those projects, we built 1,000 units, interactive, 100,000. So within the county specifically, I talked about the 110 units that we're evaluating in tandem with the housing authority. We are also working with Cedar Lane senior community in Leonardtown, right? So we are collaborating with them to build 70 senior apartments on the land next to their community. We're looking at some other sites in the county as well, but to conclude, because I think my phone was out to get out here and that sort of thing, but so number one, thank you for having us, right? I mean, this is like a very enjoyable aspect of what we do. But, I can speak for John, we're very grateful and privileged to do this work, right? It's very meaningful to go into a community and interact with folks like yourself who care about this issue and see that it's important, because I think it's evident. I really do, right? Everything starts with housing. It starts with the stability of housing, right? It's the stability of housing to get the employment, to get the car, to advance your state, right? And what I can tell you is that this stuff works, right? I meet with tenants all the time who they get into affordable housing, their kid goes to school, they work hard, that could be a doctor, lawyer, engineer, it's supposed to, right? It is a meaningful advancement of everyone's personal safety and economic opportunity, right? But it only happens if you get the thing done, right? So thank you all for coming out tonight and supporting the general mission of affordable housing. We're very excited to continue building the city.
Educational news, don't forget about the flyers over there tomorrow at 9 a.m. to 9:45. The commissioners meeting for the YMCA. July 29th, Maryland Commission on Civil Rights Listening Session at the Lexington Park Library. That's going to be at 5:30, and that's Monday. Also on August 1st, Black Caucus Southern Maryland Delegation Legislative Recap and No Branch meeting for August. And the Freedom Fund brunch is going to be held on October the 12th. And just real quick, we're not going to move long. I'd just like Sasha to come up and share some news about the project that's going to happen here.
I needed the short one for me. So it's great. Thank you, Chase, for sharing. So we are very excited to share. Ms. Dolly and I and Greg Silent have been working diligently for the past 2 years. I'm good. Yes. We've been working diligently for the past 2 years. And this initiation started after we met with community partners in our community, folks, leaders in our community to identify how we can provide showers to our homeless. We have working moms, we have working dads, and yes, their children may be, relatives or friends, but they are not able to access anything that dignifies why you should be a human going to do what you need to do to take care of yourself or others. So this facility, we applied for a grant through Lowe's Hometown Grant. It's something they've been doing for the last 3 years. They're giving away $100 million to the United States, and in the country, there were thousands of applicants that applied. They brought it down to 200 agencies that they were vetting. They brought it down to 100 agencies they were vetting. We were picked one of 2 projects in the state of Maryland. Yay! So this building is going to be renovated and it's going to house a 2-fold bathroom, shower, laundry, so that folks that are working with, the community partners in this facility, and there are 10 MOUs within this facility. So folks can come in and do what they have to do: shower, wash their laundry, take care of their belongings, wash their book bags if they need to, and have that sense of nobody wants to feel gross and, you know, wash themselves and then have to carry dirty clothes in a bag, you know, on their backs, you know, so I'm very excited. I'm hopeful the community is gonna, you know, come together and bring detergent and laundry, whatever we need. I know we're gonna do it, but we're gonna have this done by November. That's our time. Well, let me, yes, we're gonna have this done by November. So by this winter, when warm is starting, we're gonna have this for our food staff to utilize, and I'm extremely excited. So thank you for everybody who participated, and I'm excited for this to be an option for us.
Great.
Just, many folks have asked for the recording of this event. Our thanks to BJ for showing up and taking care of that. That's going to be an excellent resource to spread the word. Thank you, BJ.
No problem.
And thank you so much for getting this together.
Yeah.
I appreciate you guys always, you know, getting down in there and being at those meetings and having a voice to take care of this county and people that need it. Okay? So that concludes our, NAACP general meeting.
Was the end of September.
See you in September. Have a good night. Sorry you tomorrow at 9 a.m.
Yes.
We'll be here tomorrow at 8:45.
Man, appreciate you coming out. Y'all going to that Y thing tomorrow? They're making a big announcement about the Y.